how cafes can attract more customers through their marketing. And a lot of the time when we think marketing, we think ads and spending a lot of money, but really there's a lot of things that cafes can do that are applicable and actionable to bring more customers through the doors. And this is what we'll cover today. So Rod, do you want to put the slides on? Perfect. And by the way, you'll all be sent a recording of this webinar, but also you'll also get the slides that you'll see on the screen. So if you want, you can take screenshots, you can take some notes, but just know that you'll have all of that after the webinar finishes. So we call it the Door Swing Marketing Framework because this is taking the form of a webinar, but what we've put together is a framework for you to literally action this. And tomorrow, if you own a cafe or if you work in a cafe, apply some of those tips in order to make an impact directly onto your business. So very pragmatic, very practical tips that can help you get more business through the day. So in this webinar, we'll cover the idea and the concept of the purple cow. So what makes your cafe stand out? What makes you different from the neighbors and from anyone else in the neighborhood? We'll talk about that specific framework that we've put together, that set of actions that can get you more customers through the doors. And then we'll have we'll go through the execution of that, what that looks like in practice. And we'll finish with a Q&A session. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, I suggest to type them in the chats or keep them at the end, but best to type them in the chat so that we'll address all of these questions at the very end. It's going to last around 1 hour or a little bit more if there's a lot of questions. And again, you'll have the recording afterwards. And I'll leave the floor right now to Rod Greenfield, owner and director of the company, to tell us more about the purple cow.
Thank you, Simon. And thanks again for those that have joined today. We hope this is going to be a point where in your career where there's something helpful in the marketing space that gives your cafe or your career a kick forward. The whole concept of the purple cow is that most cafes blend in. They post the same content, they run the same offers, and they hope for the best. But today we'll show you how to break through that noise, stand out, and give people a reason to visit your cafe over and over again. Sorry. So just to think about what a cafe owner goes through on a day-to-day basis and why marketing might seem to be such a pain point or a struggle. Here's the truth. Cafes at the moment, they've never faced more pressure. Margins are tighter than ever. Costs are up. The big franchises seem to have endless marketing budgets. And we as cafe owners, we know there's about 400 things we've got to do before 10 a.m. And marketing generally falls down the list and might land in that too hard basket. But by the end of today, we want to give you a simple framework and maybe just some inspiration about marketing that works, give you a 30-day plan to get started, and we're going to go through some real examples which might give you some inspiration maybe that you could copy or adapt. This isn't about having big budgets or complicated funnels. It's about doing the right thing in the right order to get people walking through your door. So, as we said, here's a mistake that most cafes make. They start marketing before they've worked out what makes them worth visiting in the first place. Seth Godin wrote this book, The Purple Cow, and he urges us to put something remarkable, which he calls a purple cow, into everything we build, everything we do, to create something truly noticeable. And as we know, Australia cafe market is pretty overcrowded, to say the least, and we've got to stand out from the crowd if we want to get that extra revenue, those extra coffee kilos, that that extra crowd in the door. How will we do it? So why pre-marketing matters. So when I say pre-marketing, this is before we start doing our Instagram feed, or even before we do our website, even before we ideally before we come up with our cafe name. But it's never too late. We can go back and think about it. And that's because, as we've got on this slide, the riskiest thing we can do is to be safe or to be average. If your cafe feels average, there's no ad in the world that will save it. Marketing doesn't fix average. So step one is to figure out what makes you, or what makes us, remarkable. So before you spend a cent, we want you to define your concept, what we call your concept. Make it talk worthy. So what are people going to say when they leave your cafe? What are they going to tell their friends? And then build your whole brand boldly on that premise, on your purple cow, before you spend any money. So let's think about 4 steps to discover you're remarkable. Number 1 is to know the landscape that you're operating in. That's what's everyone else doing, what other cafes are doing in the area. Where is your nearest cafe? Where's your biggest competition? What are they doing? But also to know the landscape in terms of your audience. Like, do you have 8 schools very close? Do you have a council building? Do you have a shopping centre? What kind of clientele are there available to you to attract? And that will help define who you want to serve, which is the next point, and what role do you play in their day? If it's tradies, if you're in an area where there's a whole lot of construction, what role are we going to play? Tradies are not going to come there exactly for a specialty coffee experience. They're going to come there for their big coffee and brekkie roll to start the day. But we just have to position ourselves right for our market. So pick your purple cow. And let me just say, it doesn't have to be purple and it doesn't have to be a cow. It's something that you are remarkable. It might be your menu, it might be your presentation, the experience people have, how quick and easy it is to eat food, or how slow and beautiful the ambience is in your cafe. So it's whatever is unique to you. It's your identity. Then you need to boldly brand that and give it a tagline, give it a personality in everything you do. So I hope that sort of sets out a little bit what we talk about when we talk about having a purple cow. But let's get into some real life examples. And these are some of our partner cafes that I just decided to draw attention to, so that we together can sort of analyze what is the purple cow. I'm going to start with the Hideout Specialty Coffee. Great cafe in Brisbane, or a couple of cafes, third one coming on soon. What is their purple cow? Their purple cow is a massive focus on specialty coffee. They own, you might say, the specialty coffee experience in Brisbane. They're known for it. They have a clear tagline, which is up on their walls and it's on their marketing. Discover your favorite coffee of all time. So they focus on, you might say, the flavor that you experience in the cup. We love that because they partner with Zest, and we can give them a kaleidoscope of different flavors in all the coffees that we do offer. So there's a great specialty coffee vibe. Everything's branded, so down to the cups, the apparel, merch, and they're really creating a tribe around specialty coffee in Brisbane. They have a huge range of coffees that they offer. So even on their espresso machine milk based, they still offer 2 or 3 blends that you can choose, and then goes to their pour overs, and then their very high reserve coffees, which they keep in a freezer and little test tubes that we supply them. That's very expensive coffees, but they really, when people go in there, they realize these guys are serious about specialty coffee. On top of that, they've built an amazing team, super skilled, great staff. So it's easy to see that their purple cow is, you might say, laser focusing on specialty coffee and giving everyone experience of their lives. And we hop to a different one, Aroma Bakery. Now, this is also a very successful chain, 3 locations now. But they're different in that their draw card, you might say, is their pastries. They're beautiful pastries paired with amazing coffee. They have got a clear niche. When Bilal started out, his clear goal was to make the best pastries in Brisbane, and he's hold true to that focus. They've got a very strong brand, beautiful visuals. Everything you see is beautiful and on point. Again, everything is branded. You'll notice even this, the paper that he puts his pastries on when he serves them, it's all branded. You can see the espresso machine. It's got a beautiful branded cutout on it, and it's a color. So that all adds to the experience and the overall package, you might say, that is his purple cow. Next, we move over to a cafe called Mikasa. Now, if you look at the picture, you might say it looks like many other cafes, looks like a good cafe, but what makes them different? And what we noticed there is that they've got this amazing attention to detail and to make everything what we would call Insta-worthy or talk-worthy. So someone goes there, has an amazing visual experience, and then they go and they talk to their colleagues, their family, their friends, and it's something that goes through, whips through the community and creates that magnet. That's their purple cow. A beautiful and innovative presentation. Here's just some of their, it's a dessert. You can see that everything's got that touch of being a bit different and being a bit beautiful. It really goes to capture all your senses while you're eating that or enjoying that food or beverage. So that's 3 great cafes that we're proud to partner with. But we might be saying to ourselves after listening to this far, oh dear, purple cows are just going to be too hard and too difficult and probably too expensive for me. I haven't got enough time. I haven't got the staff to do it. But I want to look at a final example, which might show you that purple cows don't need to be complicated or expensive. I want to take you to Everyday Drive-Through. Everyday Drive-Through is a small drive-through cafe in a very unusual little alleyway, very hard to see the entrance even. It's like on a construction site. In one sense, they're operating in pretty tough conditions, and they work out of a tiny container, literally very small. But what's their purple cow? And I go through there fairly often, and I've looked at it and wondered, these guys do 80 to 100 kilos a week. Plus they sell a heap of food. What makes people line up? At any time, there's about 7 cars in the queue there. The amazing thing is that those cars move through fast. They've got an amazing pre-order system. That's very easy to order. You just go straight onto Google, click the pre-order, it takes you on, very nice and easy. When you get there, there's people on the tarmac out the front, the girls, they come to your window. You don't need to get out of your car, obviously. and they always super happy, great attitude, whether it's raining or shining or freezing cold or hot. They've got the same attitude. They engage with the people through the car window, but it's very quick and efficient. You pay there on their tablet, just tap and pay. And the thing about it is, you might say, compare that to our good friends Macca's, who would normally maybe get the majority of that crowd that wants a coffee and a breakfast burger in a rush. They don't want to get out their car. They're on their way to the job or to work or to school. And these guys, the difference is they're just as fast as Macca's, even faster, I reckon. And their coffee quality and food is just that step above Macca's. And it's amazing. Obviously, they've got a very tight, clever menu so that they're not distracted or by a heap of different options. It's easy choice for their customers, and people love it. And people talk about it, and that's why there's so many cars. So let's take you to this next slide. And what we'd like to challenge you or ask you to ask yourself this question. People talk about my cafe because. What is it? Think about it. People leave your cafe, what are they going to talk about? And that's really the key of this whole part of this presentation about the Purple Cow. And that's, you might say, what's your reason for being? What's your magnet to the crowd that's out there, but you need to get them into your cafe? So that's it for me, I think, Simon. And I'd glad to get any questions in the chat. And what we do like to offer is that we do what we call a marketing audit or a consult. I did one yesterday. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Went to a cafe that's only doing 6 or 7 kilos. They've got a massive target audience. And within a couple of hours, we'd come up with in 4 hours, we came up with a clear plan. And I'm going to be keeping very closely in touch with that. We aim to triple their coffee kilos within about 3 months. That's our goal. And we think we can do it. And we've got them on board. So that's the kind of thing we want to do. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you, Rod. I think it's great to see more and more cafes look into what the Purple Cow is and asking themselves that question. And I was also today with one of our Zest customers, who's a famous bakery in Sydney, and the owner is asking himself the question of, how can I get more people throughout the doors during the week? I'm busy on the weekends, but during the week I'm struggling. And so we created a new specialty drink that you will see most likely next week on our social media. And if you're ever in Sydney, you have to go and check out. Son of a Baker. They will be releasing this drink next week, and that's the kind of like really exciting new drink that no one's ever seen before. That gives a point of difference that will make people go to their shop. So that's a question that you need to be asking yourself relatively often. Like, what is the reason why people come through the doors? And in a world where there's a lot of information, like our attention is always like constantly solicited. You need something that really stands out to get people to slow down and be like, oh, wow, that looks interesting. I'm going to go there. Otherwise, people just don't have the mental capacity to pay attention to what you do. So now, how do we put that in practice? How do we put this in action? What concretely can we do? So don't leave the Purple Cow in the barn. So when you figure out what that really special thing is, you want the world to know about it. You want everybody to know what is so special about your cafe. And that's the thing that you're going to be communicating on. You're going to be communicating on that strength that you have, and you want everybody to see it. So that goes through, being able to showcase that on social media, being able to showcase that on your website if you have a website, putting posters, putting banners, letting people in the community know about that. Like, this is your strength. You need to capitalize on it. So now there are 4 main ways for you to get more people to come through doors, because that's ultimate goal of marketing. Marketing is to get more sales. Like, how do we get more people in through the door of our shop? And we'll cover each of these ones, but first we'll have the local visibility. So make sure that you can be found everywhere. So how do we people find you? Nowadays in 2025, a lot of the time, if people can't necessarily see your shop on the streets, they'll find you online. And one of the first thing that comes to, my mind when I travel somewhere to a new country, to a new city, is to check out what are the cool cafes in the area. And I might just look on Google Maps and look at which cafes are around me. And that quick Google research or that quick Google Maps research will show me all of the top trending cafes. And or sometimes I just browse through Instagram. It can be Facebook, it can be YouTube. Now even sometimes like I use ChatGPT for recommendations for cafes. But so that online presence means that you're constantly visible by potentially everyone, without having necessarily the best location, the best spots in your neighborhood. And those are there's a lot of those things on the list, such as building a business profile on Google and trying to get more reviews to build that profile and just having more photos, etc. That doesn't cost a lot of money. And as Rod mentioned at the very beginning, like we always think that marketing is very costly, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. There's a lot of things these days that are actually very affordable and are actually very good value for money. So your Google business profile, that looks like putting all of the information about your business, such as training hours, some photos, your menu, and what you do, the type of services and food and products that you offer. And the more information you put out there, and the more people give their feedback about your business, the more visible you will become. Google has its own algorithm where it will showcase different cafes based on the ranking. So obviously, if your cafe is a top cafe and you get plenty of reviews and they're all 5 stars, you'll appear higher on the research because Google knows that it's a great recommendation, so they'll push you. So having a specific number of keywords, for example, in the comments that people have, like if the word coffee comes like multiple times, it will rank higher every time someone looks for coffee in Google Maps. I'll give you an example. I travel a lot around the world and I'm vegetarian. So every time I go in a city and I want to obviously eat vegetarian food, and sometimes it can be difficult. But the first thing I do is I type vegetarian restaurant, vegetarian meal on Google Maps, and it will look for the number of keywords, the number of comments that people have left with that specific word, and it will show me all of the best results. So if you're trying to find incentives for your customers to leave reviews about your cafe, maybe suggest a couple of words. Maybe if your purple cow is your amazing pancakes because you make the best pancakes in the area, maybe a lot of people will be commenting on pancakes. And the day someone wants to have pancakes in a specific area, you'll rank first. So you can either find an incentive for people to leave a review on specific keywords, or just have such a strong purple cow that everybody will talk about that. And to go back to the hideouts, one of our customers in Brisbane that Rod spoke about, if you check out their Google review, their Google profile, the word specialty coffee, the word pour over, the word single origin comes like multiple times because they just have so many options. And they rank really high on Google reviews. So other ways to be visible is also anything that can be visible with the naked eye. Things like signage, things like having an A-frame, having like a light with the name of your cafe. And that is pretty much the first thing that people will see when they're walking the street, when they're driving down the road. That's the way they can see you, that you're a coffee shop, that you sell coffee, that you sell food. So obviously the way you look on the outside is extremely important. Nobody really wants to go into a cafe that has an old sign with spider webs or with a flickering light. It's not very inviting and it doesn't look very professional. And this is literally the way your business is dressed up. Like that's similar to us, like how we look every single day when we show up to work. That says a lot about our personality, or at least people will judge us this way. So it's the same thing for cafes. If the outside, if the signage doesn't look right, or it looks a little bit tired, then people will already make a judgment about the quality of what you serve. Well, speaking of the devil, we have Eddie from Hideout who just joined. Eddie, we were just talking about your amazing cafes up in Brisbane. So other ways to be more visible locally is to try to be anchored within a specific community. So around your cafe, there might be a school, there might be a police station, there might be a lot of offices. And having close relationships with those businesses is key because they're your locals. They're people who live and work around where you are, and knowing who these people are is extremely important. So, yeah, schools, offices, clubs, factories. Rod mentioned, for example, like if you have a lot of tradies in the area, maybe put something together for that is specifically designed for tradies. I've seen a cafe once that had a bacon egg roll, and they had a specific bacon egg roll called the Super Tradie, and they were literally advertising this one for tradies. And guess what? They had a lot of tradies coming into their shop, and they were opening at 4:30 in the morning. So that was their purple cow, and they were really focusing on that part of the community, and they were obviously getting a lot of these customers. So anything you can do to try have a relationship with those neighbors that you have, such as even just paying a visit, dropping off some vouchers for a free coffee just to get to know them, maybe dropping off um, something different to them, maybe having flyers, having, yeah, like little samples, VIP offers, discounts. There's a very famous cafe in Sydney that has a very good relationship with the hospital staff and the nurses next to them. And every single day, because they've had this long relationship during COVID, they even gave free coffee to the hospital staff, for example. They had this long relationship, and now they probably sell 200-300 coffees a day just to hospital staff, for example. So all of these things, like it could be the sports club. Maybe you have kids and they play in a specific sports team. Having those relationships with local partners is really key, especially because they're locals and they will be repeated sales. And this will be ongoing business that you get on a daily basis. Now, social magnets. So we need to talk about social media. We need to talk about online presence and being able to be visible. And the tricky thing with social media is if when I remember when Facebook started becoming a thing, that was what, like almost 20 years ago. Gosh, that doesn't make us that doesn't make me any younger. 18 years ago, I think that's when I started my own Facebook, and Instagram came a little bit later. And at the time, it was something sort of like secondary. Businesses would have a Facebook page, and it wouldn't put a lot of work into it. But today, it's literally how people find you. This is how people see you. When you want to hear about a new business, when you want to look into a new cafe, the first thing that most people do, and people that are younger than me, what they would do is go on Instagram, go on TikTok, go on Snapchat, other people from different generations, maybe on Facebook, they'll go into social media and they'll look for that page. And the way you appear on that page, the way your page looks like, is a reflection of your business. And as a result, it will determine how people see your business from the outside. So it went from being something secondary and almost accessory to now being, okay, this is how people see you. And it has a lot more importance today than it did in the past. Now, the other difficult thing with social media is that because it's become so important, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of efforts. And you'll need to pick your battles because there's so many different social media that operate in very different ways that it's impossible to be on. I don't know a single cafe that is successful on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Snapchat, like whatever other social media you can have. So you have to pick your battles, and the social media that you choose needs to be coherent with the crowd and the audience that you have. So if you have plenty of offices around you, potentially LinkedIn could be interesting. But if you have a lot of schools and the age average is a lot lower, then maybe you might consider being on TikTok because you might have a lot of young parents, you might have a lot of kids as well. So this could be, or teenagers, and this could be an interesting platform. From what we see in our experience as Zest, as a coffee supplier and a partner for cafes for 16 plus years, is that Instagram seems to be sort of like the default platform, and Facebook as well, for coffee businesses. And a lot of the focus should probably be put on these two platforms. Now, Rod's transition to this book by Alex Hormozy. If you guys have never heard of Alex Hormozy, he does a lot of YouTube videos that are free. He gives a lot of amazing business advice, and everything is put very simply. So he's someone that we would recommend, reading from or listening to. And he's got a really good point when he explains that in today's world, and which goes back to what I was mentioning earlier, people's attention is very, very short. People's attention span is so short. A recent study showed that on TikTok, if you didn't grab people's attention with your video within 0.7 seconds, people would skip. So here he says that there's only 2 seconds to grab people's attention. In reality, it's probably even less than that. So that means that the things that you put out there, the content that you share, it needs to serve people. Posting for the sake of posting, sharing photos, sharing videos for the sake of sharing videos makes not only it makes no sense because nobody's going to be interested in that, and because nobody's interested in the algorithm isn't going to push what you show when you produce, but also it's actually going to maybe do you it could harm your business in the sense that trying to be loud for the sake of being loud without serving the community, without sharing anything meaningful, is a waste of people's time. So if you're going to post something on social media, make sure that it's worthy of sharing and make sure that people can get something out of it. And this is how we see some pages and businesses grow extremely fast, extremely quickly, because they are sharing things that are valuable to people. So things that would be saved, liked, commented on, shared. And one thing, obviously, because there's multiple different ways of doing that, but we started to see that one of the, I guess, ways of doing those things that works really well is to try to keep everything authentic. As most of you have probably noticed on social media, the quality of everything has become a lot better than it was before. And everything has become almost like really professional. The quality of video, the quality of sound, even small pages start have like lightning and everything in order to shoot videos. So the quality of the production has gone up very, very fast. But what seems to be trending back again now is the ability to be authentic, the ability to be who you are. Like, don't try to pretend to be someone else. Making mistakes on camera is part of who you are. Like, we're all humans as well. And in an era where we start to see more and more artificial intelligence, we believe that being authentic is going to be more important than ever, because people are going to want to see genuine content created by humans and not necessarily by robots, or not necessarily generated by an artificial intelligence. So show what your cafe looks like. Show what it really is. Own it. Own your purple cow. If if a specific topic is really important to you, then share it with everyone. And that's your opportunity to let the world know who you are and what you stand for. And you'll find that a lot of people connect with that. You'll find that some people might not connect with it, and that's fine. They're not necessarily your customers, but you'll find that some people connect with it. And maybe if you only connect with 20% of a specific population in a specific area, but they're really connected with you, then they're going to be devoted, almost like fanatic customers of your brand. You don't need to please everyone. And I think that's one of the things that cafes tend to forget. And you can see that in cafes that have a massive menu with too many items. You don't need to please everyone, and you can't please everyone. And I'll finish with just a quick example on that one. If you look at Apple versus Samsung, like Android versus iOS in terms of systems, like you look at Apple products like iPhones, you probably have half of the population globally that loves Apple. And you probably have the other half that strongly detests Apple. And they don't really care that half of the population hates them, because the one half that loves their products, they have every single product from them. Like, I literally have had only Apple device for the last, I think, 15 years. And literally everything that I buy is from them. And there's so many people like that. And it's the same thing for Samsung. They appeal to the other half. And literally, once you're a Samsung person, you get everything Android, for example. So no need to please everybody. And you can't do that anyway. So a couple of pillars for content that can help you decide what to share with your audience. And again, like trying to keep that authentic, is showing your team, like showing the people behind the company. That is so undervalued. We've seen studies showing that if you're showcasing faces and people on social media posts, they tend to do like 2-3 times better in terms of engagement. So showing people, showing who they are, introduce the chef, introduce the barista, introduce the waitress, anyone. Drinks and dishes. So every time that you have a new menu, anytime you have something exciting, new coffees, share it. Events, community. If you have a tasting happening, if you're organizing an evening where you're serving food or whatever, let people know like anything that is going on in your cafe. And something that we don't necessarily see a lot of, but that we strongly recommend having, is sharing user-generated content. So you might have a couple of regulars who are really good at taking content because they might be content creators. They might be people who really enjoy that. And they probably are better at creating content than you and I are. Utilize these people. They are your regulars. Maybe strike a deal with them and say, hey, would you be interested in creating some content with us? We collaborate on that post. You give us some visibility, and then we'll comp you lunch for a couple of days or something like this. We'll give you a free coffee for X amount of days, and this way you get to sort of outsource this ability to create content and do that in a way that's very genuine because it's created by users, and usually content that is created by other users is often more credible than when a company shows it. So because people believe what other customers might be saying more than necessarily what a company might say. So other social media tips. So find a style and stick to it. So obviously in the beginning, it might be normal for you to try to do multiple different things. But the two main styles that we see on social media is either you try to entertain people. So you can try and be funny and you can try to, just get people to have a good time. Or you can try to be more sort of like educational and share things that might be interesting to people. So for us as a coffee roaster, for example, we primarily go down the route of we want to share education, we want to share content that is interesting to people that people can learn from. But you have, for example, other cafes or other roasteries that might do something else different. And I think it's quite important to understand who you are as a company and what your style is and stick to that so that the audience knows what to expect from you. Post regularly. Decide on, do you want to post 2-3 times a week? 3 to 4 times is ideal, but posting for the sake of posting, if the post again has no relevance, it's probably best to to skip it. But try to get to a point where you can post regularly, you have enough content to post regularly. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I have to create some content every single day or a couple of times per week. It could literally be you dedicate 2 days a month where you create a lot of that content, you create a caption, you have all the photos, you schedule all of that, and then that's all scheduled. And you don't really have to worry about that as much if this works better for you. Instagram stories, other than just reposts, is really good for engagement. It's really good for people to see what you're doing. Reposts of other stories that some of your customers might post, they tend to do very poorly on Instagram. What does really well is always, maybe you might just grab your phone and film like a new dish that the chef is doing, or maybe the barista is pouring a really cool latte art. And this is something that is very genuine. It is sort of like a everyday life of your cafe. Share that. Try to find little moments during the day where you can do that. And using obviously hashtags for specific suburbs, specific areas, help people also find you based on your location. All right, then.
Sorry.
Not all good. Websites for cafes. Turns out that most cafes don't even have a website, and we think it's a missed opportunity because a website is also another way for people to know what you're offering. And it doesn't have to be a fancy website. It doesn't have a website where you just sell anything. It can just be an informative website where you share photos and menu and just some information about who you are. Like that's the opportunity for you to share the DNA of your company, to show your purple cow. It's very easy for people to find you when you have a website, and you can just keep it simple. There's a lot of templates these days that are really easy to use. It'll cost a couple of $100 a year, and you can do all of the edits yourself. You don't need to outsource that to anyone. It's so easy in 2025 to have your own websites. But if you wanted to push it a bit further, you can do online bookings, which are also fairly easy to set up with plugins that already exist. So that anything that can help you drive more business into your cafe. And instead of necessarily posting a lot of content regularly, which can take some time, you can link your Instagram feeds onto your cafe so that new photos, new videos get updated regularly. So other in-cafe triggers. So we've spoken a lot about how to bring people into our cafe, but now how can we look at things that we can do inside of the shop on a day-to-day basis? Loyalty cards, having the ability to get people to come back more often. It doesn't have to be new customers; it can be the same customers coming more often. So having loyalty cards, whether they're the old sort of like card that we leave inside of the cafe that people just bring to get a stamp, or sort of more modern QR code based cards. We like the QR codes stuff because then you get to have people's contacts, you get to have some information about them, you get to reach out to them by text message or by email if you have anything new and exciting. Finding little deals that you can do for people. So bring your friends, get a specific outcome. So buy one, get one free, or on this specific day, we're going to give away little samples of a new drink that we've been working on. Things that can get people excited, things that just, change people from their daily routine. Like specials, like weekend specials, dish of the week, drink of the month, that sort of stuff. Oh, I think the team at Hideouts, you guys do projections of films every now and then, I think, at one of your stores. Like that's an exciting hello Eddie. Oh, hello you. You do that every now and then, like a specific movie. Come and watch a movie with our team. Have some nice coffees with us. We've put together new drinks. Anything that is new and exciting.
Yeah, actually, Kayong, our marketing person is here too, so you can ask her lots of questions. So every week, yeah, we
Perfect.
make all the content. Yeah, so try to make the content use like engagements or like educational purpose, informative. Like you just choose the category for that, and we decide from there from our character. We try to put our character. Like for example, we had a discussion about do we need to follow the trends, or do we need to be genuine, genuine things like you said, what we had. So we like pretty much what we're trying to do is trying to show what we had, and plus maybe 10%, 15% of what trends say. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I find that the trends are often a matter of format, a matter of how we share the information that we have, how we share the content, rather than necessarily the substance of it. And that means that maybe you do more infographics. Maybe we have to do a bit more real these days, and maybe the real has to be a bit more engaging. But you can still, share some serious information if this is the tone that you have. But yeah, you don't necessarily need to make a dance of all of your stuff in the cafe to be like a TikTok trendy trendy style content creator. So it's mainly around the formats what we find.
Yeah. One thing actually we try to make the story at the moment like an episode. So that the first trend episode was Derek's story. I don't know, you haven't seen recently. So he literally came from the Vietnam, and they tried to. He came to Australia to learn about how to make coffee. So literally, we are the first cafe he went to, and I met him. I made him coffee at the time, Bova, and after that, he got into our education class. Blah blah blah. The first episode was like that, and second one, last week Derek won the competition, right? So
I've
yeah,
seen
we
that.
actually did that. And then third episode, we are trying to plan. I don't know how, but when Derek goes to yeah, the China. So yeah, like a China kind of story, we can put like three series. I think that would be really like the customer really love it. Yeah, we have a lots of likes and sharing. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I think something beyond the likes and shares, because I think we're all guilty of that, and myself first. Like sometimes we get really stuck into, oh, how many likes did I get? How many views did we get? Sometimes some of the videos or some of the content that we make might not be a video that goes viral, but you'll have some of your existing customers that see it and it really resonates in them. And then maybe it's actually triggered something for them and might say, wow, that story has inspired me so much to start a journey in coffee and to make the jump from the corporate life. And maybe the video didn't get 100,000 views, but you've maybe made an impact for fewer people. And those things sometimes are a little bit intangible, but I think that it goes a really long way. You build really meaningful connection and engagement with people this way.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one thing we try to do is just find that who we are is 100%. That's what we're trying to do. It took time, like as Kayong trying to push that marketing really hard, but like previously we had a little bit of lots of trial and error, and we made this one. This is not us. This is not our style. Just you keep need to find that what actually present us. Yeah,
Yeah,
literally
that
that's it.
purple
Yeah,
cow. Yeah, what
purple
is our
cow. That's
purple
it.
cow? I think we spoke about you
Yeah.
on before you jumped in, but yeah, we're showing your
Yeah,
stores,
sorry, I
showing
confused the
Tom.
time, the Melbourne time,
That's all
Brisbane
good.
time. Yeah,
But we
yeah,
spoke about the idea of purple cow. What makes cafes really specific? What makes you stand out from the competition? And we think for you, the purple cow is the amount of different coffee options. Like it's all about coffee in your stores. Like people come and they know that they are going to discover new flavors. They're going to discover new coffees. So we think that this is one of the reasons why you have people coming back so often, and also the obviously the team, the quality of staff that you have. It all fits into your story, but this is really the one thing that you do that other cafes don't do, for example, and that's who you are, and that's the strength that you want to capitalize on. And sometimes, yeah, you're right, it takes time to figure out who we are. um we always ask ourselves this question, like it's something you want to ask yourself like regularly as well, like it's totally normal.
yeah. Thank you very
uh,
much. Yeah, we try our
Yep.
best. Yeah, thank you.
where were we at, Rod?
We'll get there.
Oh yeah.
We'll get back there. There we go.
Oh, good. Oh yeah, word of mouth, like cheapest and arguably one of the most efficient way to grow your business. Also, the most intangible way. So really frustrating. Word of mouth is, when friends recommend your business to other friends, when family members recommend it to other people. It's very powerful because the recommendation comes from a third party source. That's someone that's close to you, or someone that's close to that other person, and that source of recommendation is trustworthy, and that means that the people that are given the recommendation are more likely to go into your business. So because friends trust friends. The hard thing with this is that it can be difficult to measure, but we do know that what helps word of mouth is having amazing experiences in store, like having staff that provide amazing service, the team providing amazing coffee, amazing food, a great vibe in the cafe. These are all things that we know are part of that recipe for people to go home at night and say, you know what? I went to this cafe today and it was incredible. Staff was awesome. I had an amazing coffee. The place was pumping. That was great. We should go together next week. And I can guarantee you that when this happens, especially or if you have an office, for example, someone during the break goes to your cafe, has a great time, goes back up. The first thing that says, guys, I found this new cafe. They're amazing. Coffee's awesome. They have great banana bread, whatever. Next break, everybody's coming there. So how do we get more word of mouth? It's it's just by doing what you do best. Make great coffee, serve great food, look after your customers, and just be really genuine about like running your business. Just focusing on doing the foundations right. Oh yeah, Rod,
What we're really saying, Simon, is the best way to get word of mouth ranking is to have that purple cow, have that thing that you actually give people something that's talk worthy, so that they will go and talk about it. And that might just be a menu item. It might be, as you referred to, a new, signature drink, or it's just got to be something that's talk worthy. So think about, what are we doing, or what are you doing that is talk worthy, and make sure there's something all the time. And it can be something new, can be something fresh that gets people's tongues going and telling their friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Build your loyal customer base. So obviously it can take a lot of effort to get people to come into your shop the first time, and it's much easier to get them to come back. And having that repeated revenue, that repeated traffic is also sort of like a guarantee of where your business is heading, because otherwise you're navigating in the dark, just hoping that more people will come. So getting those repeated sales is paramount in order to build like a sustainable business. So that's why having this connection with your customers from a sort of like from a personal point of view with your staff, with yourself, just to have that rapport, but also being able to communicate with your audience. So through emails, social media, text message, etc.
Repeat revenue on your audience.
So what's the next slide, Rod?
I just wondered if Eddie had some experience on that. Whether do you use email as outreach at all to your client base, or not? Does that work in a cafe situation?
We've been collecting lots of emails. We have around like 8,000 to 9,000 email address at the moment. Yeah, but we haven't used it yet because we really wanna use for specific. So we after education, the catering, and also catering cards for the coffee cards. Just what? Sorry, Alfie. Sorry, my kids. Yeah, come here. So for that, we're gonna make like exact templates. How we gonna make it very attractive to the customers? Because I don't want to use it the email because like very easy to just unscribe it, right? So I don't want to just waste it in the email for the first or second trial. We try to make it everything right, and then we're gonna go through like a process for probably send via using the Christmas present or like Christmas the catering. Yeah, so we're just building up that system at the moment.
I think that's very good, Eddie, because the last thing you want to do is irritate people. And I know I get irritated by multiple emails coming in. So that's what we try and do, is that if we're going to do an email, it's going to be worth opening. People, it's going to make people smile. It's going to make people want to read it. They're going to actually learn something. So no, I think that's excellent. Appreciate your input there.
Yeah, thank you.
So
it goes back to this idea. Oh, sorry, one second. It goes back to this idea of if you're going to say something, make sure that it's meaningful. Make sure that you're speaking for a reason. And we all have this one friend that's, talks maybe a bit too much, and we know already that when that friend says something that it's probably not going to be relevant, so we're already not listening. And it is also that one friend that doesn't talk as much, but we know that when that person speaks, okay, everybody's listening because that person always has relevant things to say. So got to find the right balance, the perfect balance between communicating enough and then not overdoing it and sharing.
Go for it, Simon.
Sorry, I lost my connection for a second. So community and events. So again, we spoke a little bit earlier about having this close relationship with your neighbors and with the local community, and I can go through obviously those day-to-day partnerships, but also through events that can happen sort of more like ad hoc. And the idea of that is being able to engage with that local community and have repeated customers, repeated sales. So it could be things like having live musics, if there's festival happening in your suburb, things like charities or sponsorship for schools and sports team, for example, if there's a specific sport that is being played where you are, if you're next to track and field, for example, you could be sponsoring specific competitions and specific races, etc. We really like the free coffee day for emergency services. Like that's a really cool thing to do, to have a specific, like really great relationships with them. Some examples that we've done that has worked recently. Another mention of hideouts. Cup of Excellence cuppings that we've done at hideouts. That is a community-based cupping or coffee events that we do that brings a lot of people from the coffee community into one site. Turns out that in Brisbane, most people probably know the hideouts, but for the people, every now and then we have people that are, have never been to a hideout. They come to this event, they discover this cafe. In some cases, people might even apply for a job at that shop because they go, wow, you guys are amazing. You do amazing things. I want to work there. I want to come there for breakfast, etc. Our customer, Son of a Baker in Sydney, has a collaboration with Porsche as well. Like amazing way to get the brand out there. He got some wholesale deals as well out of events like this. So obviously very successful. We've done signature drinks events with partner cafes. So doing an activation where for half a day we come, we make some signature drinks, give little samples to people, and make it a bit of an event, make it a bit fun, and share some of those like really tasty drinks with some people. So that builds, community as well. One of my favorite ones is Avocado Lounge in Sydney that does. He gives us free immune shots of ginger and cayenne, and so ginger, lemon, cayenne during winter. He gives those little shots to all of his regulars for free. And it's funny because not everyone likes it because it's very ginger heavy. It's very sour as well. There's a lot of lemon, but it's a very unique thing, and that's something that he loves personally. And even if you don't like ginger and lemon and you think cayenne is a bit too spicy, like people take it and they love it. Like it's there's like a very strong human connection there that happens. And this is truly who he is. Like he's known in the area for his ginger shots. So if you
it would
don't,
be
yeah.
because it's a experience that you won't forget easily, isn't it? I mean, it's like a very pungent experience that involves your senses, and people won't forget that. And that might just be one little part of his purple cow.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he's all about like bold flavors. Like all of his food, they have like it's bold and explosive. His coffee is bold and explosive. Everything about this place is like this, and that's his purple cow. And like you're saying, this is a small part of who he is, but it's on brand with the place. It's on brand with the team as well. The owner is like this. He's bold and explosive in the best possible way.
I'll give another example of something like that. I remember going to one of our cafes in Sydney, where they gave us a little, very small amount of a beautiful white tea before you drank their coffee. And it was just like an amazing palate cleanser that I'd never had the experience before. And I'll never forget that. That was at Locked In Sydney. And amazing how a little thing like that will differentiate them from anywhere you've ever been before. So there's these little things that we can do to make a difference.
So what's next? How do we get started? How do we identify that purple cow? How do we capitalize on that? Did you want to cover that part, Rod? What does that framework look like?
Yeah, sure. So this is when the rubber hits the road, you might say, and we find it in our own business. It's great. It's maybe easy to have great ideas, but to just get some structure that you set yourself over a period of time. You might say a 1 month sprint or a 3 month sprint, where you set certain clear goals and tasks. We probably put some examples in here. The 30-day door swing sprint. Number one, make sure your Google profile and your reviews are on point and it's all working well. Don't test it on your own phone necessarily, because you might have often searched your cafe. Test it on somebody else's phone. Make sure that your cafe is coming up. Then maybe, and this can be different for every cafe. We're talking to the gentleman I was working with yesterday, where he's got this thing where there's these 8 private schools just in the area, and he's just not getting their support. And what we came up with is that we recommend that he just prints a simple but very clear and high quality clear brochure, where he just offers just for that school. If they come in, they get a special deal. What he's actually probably going to do is give them a coffee mug, a $3 coffee mug that is getting printed. If they come in, they get that to take away with them and get their coffee in that. And for a limited time, but really just to get into that particular target audience and get them talking about that cafe, and then pull back. So it's something that you intentional. It links directly with your purple cow, what you're remarkable for, and it gets your message out. Think about your first event. What partnership or event or collaboration are you going to do? Get your loyalty system. So this is really about retaining those customers that you do have. Think about how you can do that well. bring that back to your 7 days. So the next 7 days, what we'd love you to focus on is to nail your purple cow point of difference, and it might be a basket of things that work together to make you who you are. If you take Eddie's Cafe, it's the fact that he's got great staff that know what they're talking about and they can prepare beautiful specialty coffee. It's because he's got a huge range of products. So his purple cow is giving people getting Eddie the best coffee they've ever tasted, and he's put everything together to actually deliver that. Think about one door swing offer. So we call it as a door swing offer. It's just our little catchphrase, but something that'll bring people in the door. Maybe on your Insta, you're going to do 3 reels this week. Book 1 partnership meeting. And what I would say, simple thing is, you should be able to reach out to your coffee supplier or any of your suppliers to come and help and collaborate with you, to help you build your purple cow. Again, go back to Hideout. We love going there and doing events there. It totally ties in. It benefits. Hopefully, it benefits Hideout, and it definitely benefits us as a brand. So, work together, collaborate. Simple metrics that we can track. So, obviously, number 1, your daily revenue. Is what you're doing affecting the number of people coming in the door, the amount that they spend per sale, and your overall revenue should be something that's very easy to track. Make sure that you aren't having an effect there. If it's not working and you're putting effort into something, don't keep on doing it forever. Review, relook at it, and test and measure and do what works. Look at how many Google reviews you're getting. Look at loyalty redemption. That's if you've got like a digital loyalty card. Are people actually using it? Is it actually benefiting you? How many people coming to the events, and obviously foot traffic. We don't want you to overcomplicate it, but it's nice just to have some what we call KPIs or key performance indicators that you can track and you can focus on, so that you pick your battles, as we call it. Don't try and be everything to, as Simon said earlier, everything to all men. You want to pick your battles. You want to focus on your purple cow and the outcomes you're looking for, and make sure that you're tracking that. And I think with that, we over to Q&A. If there's any, Bjorn, is there any questions come in, or does anyone want to ask a question? Now's your time.
No questions at the moment. Seems like we covered everything.
If you ever had any questions at a later stage, Rod mentioned earlier in this webinar that we're happy to also give you a free audit in terms of marketing, to come and do a remote call and help you have a look at your current situation, help you identify your purple cow. This is literally what Rod did yesterday with was that yesterday or the day before with that customer. That's what I went to do today with one of our customers, again in Sydney. Bjorn just put the link to book that audit in the chat. So if you wanted to do that at a later stage, that's also an option.
And I'd like to say on that, it's not that we come in thinking we know everything or whatever. I'm not saying we're exactly marketing experts, but what we are saying is that a third party, someone that comes in that's not, you might say, emotionally attached to what you're doing. And we always find that works. We have it in our business, people coming in to help us and give us like a third party opinion. And it sometimes just uncovers. I try and prompt people, and so they drill down and work out what you might say their purple cow is based on their own values, what's important to them. You can't have a purple cow that doesn't align with your values. For instance, like Eddie, if we told him he is going to do a cheap mass drive through, that the coffee was not important at all, he'd probably say, "No, that's just not me." So I think it's important that what you are remarkable for aligns with your values, and that's what we help try and work out as we come into your cafe and do these discussions or consults or whatever you want to call it. We've been in business for 30 years now. I have been, and you pick up experiences along the way. I am a coach, a business coach as well. So yeah, we love to just share that passion and share that experience, and together prosper. That's our goal. That's all from me. So that's just to recap. Please use our free resources that are available. So there's a business plan that all this sort of links into. Our business plan workbook is free to download. You can book a free marketing audit, and you can also access our whole Cafe Hub resource on our website, or you can access it here. So there's lots of templates and benchmarks and things like that in there that are designed to help you prosper.
And for those of you who don't have a cafe yet, who are maybe thinking about opening a cafe, next week on Wednesday, we're running another webinar on, how to build together your business plan for your cafe using the workbook that Rod just mentioned. So if you'd like to join this webinar, it'll be happening at 3:30 p.m. Sydney time on Wednesday next week. And same thing, they'll be recording, etc. And yeah, thank you everyone for attending. Again, remember that safe is risky, especially in times of uncertainty. We might think that it's best to stay safe and to play low profile, but that's usually what drives businesses to the ground. In our experience, being not having a competitive advantage on having your purple cow is more risky than anything. So be remarkable and let the world know about it. And on that note, we wish you all a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar next week. There will also be other webinars in November and December on new topics as well, if you've been attending these last couple of webinars that we did. So looking forward to seeing you all. If you ever have any questions, suggestions, feel free to reach out to any of us, and have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.